Okay, we'll take a few minutes for people to join us. Just if one or two, we can see, yeah, I can see people joining already. How's everyone doing today?
Doing well.
Great. So welcome. I am excited to welcome everybody to our second webinar in the series, Navigating the Reopening, a collaborative panel discussion for and with event professionals in the Bay Area. I have invited an amazing panel who would love to share their ideas and opinions with you today. My name is Yulia Vasudev, and I'm a sales executive at Tony Caters, a custom catering company in Silicon Valley. We would love you guys, the attendees, to participate actively today in asking questions in the Q&A box and share your opinions in the chat. Zoom has added a very cool feature. You can upvote the question to push it up by giving it a thumbs up. So use it if there's some questions that you feel strongly about, upvote it. And we will leave time for the questions at the end of the webinar to make sure we try to answer as many as possible. This presentation is recorded. I will send you a follow-up email after the webinar with the access link for the recording. And I'm very excited to introduce our panelists today. Let me share my screen. And first, I need to mention that unfortunately, Danny Thomas from Danny Thomas Party Rentals has pulled out of the panel. The reality is such right now that business owners have to wear multiple hats. So he is very busy. He wasn't able to commit 100%. And it's sad, but the reality is right now that we're all trying to survive with limited staff and doing different things. But I'm very excited to introduce our panelists right now. So Natasha Miller, she is the founder and chief experience designer at Entire Productions. A musician by nature, Natasha's start in the event industry happened by accident. She's a celebrated violinist and jazz vocalist. She released 7 records on her own label, and very quickly she found herself overbooked. So she started referring fellow musicians on her place. And very quickly, this thoughtful gesture evolved into Entire Productions, a leading experience, design, and entertainment booking company based in San Francisco with a satellite office in Los Angeles. Natasha's commitment to growing Entire Productions has earned her recognition as one of the 5,000 fastest growing companies in America. She is a prolific philanthropist, contributing her time and resources to multiple charities, and she continues to share her experience as a speaker across the country. I am very excited to have Natasha on the panel. Welcome, Natasha. Perfect. So Liz Curtis. Liz is widely recognized as the pioneer of on-demand nationwide event rentals. She's a Bay Area native. She went to college at UC Berkeley and studied law at UC Hastings. After passing her bar exam, she found that law is not her passion, but events and entertainment is. So she continued to pursue her passion. And after making the decision to leave law, she turned her blog, Table Plus Teaspoon, into catering, events, and design firm. Realizing the need for a curated nationwide event rental business model, she launched her company as an e-commerce table setting rental delivery service, delivering nationwide since 2017. Table Plus Teaspoon has received accolades from Martha Stewart, New York Times, Town and Country, Real Simple, Elle Decor, and many more. And in the wake of pandemic, Liz realized the need to scale quickly because of the demand and rise of at-home parties. So together with Michael Saramin, they've created Fulcrum Group, where she is now a CEO. Liz is excited to continue disrupting the event industry, and I'm excited to have her here with us. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you.
Ryan Rozoff, he is the founder and co-owner of Team Building ROI. Let me move to Ryan. And it's a company based in San Jose. Ryan has a background in education as a former high school English teacher, an event planner, and also a musical recording artist and touring performer with the band Little King for over 23 years. Since its inception in 2011, Team Building ROI has facilitated over 1,000 team building events in and around the Bay Area in Southern California, North Carolina, Washington, D.C., Seattle, and many other markets. The company has pivoted from in-person events in March to 2020 and now offers multiple unique virtual experiences and has hosted over 60 virtual events in the last 3 months with large companies like Apple, Facebook, Google, Cisco, and Microsoft. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you for having me. Nice to be here.
Burgess Angeles is the founder and CEO of Beeline Events, a full-service event management company. Burgess's first job was dressing up as a Statue of Liberty at a bagel shop opening. Mm-hmm. Now she leads the Beeline Events and the team at the Beeline Events, delivering clients the bandwidth, the expertise, and producing events that are information-packed, inspiring, Insta-worthy, and while staying within the client's budget. Her company has produced hundreds of events around the world, ranging from 20 to 20,000 since 2004. She brings a sense of community and unique energy to her company. And when she's not working, you can find her leading a Girl Scout troop, hitting a flea market, and enjoying a family meal, but not cooked by her, but by her husband. Jim Angeles has the Bacon restaurant, and she has 2 beautiful daughters. Welcome, Burgess. Oh, we can't hear you, but welcome. Jamie Pritchard. Jamie is an award-winning entrepreneur committed to excellence, professionalism, positive workplace culture, and exceptional client experiences. She is the director of communications at a full-service catering company, Tasty Catering in Chicago, and she is a partner at Newphoric, a marketing company for caterers and event venues that helps their clients optimize the software, their website, the master social media, communications, engage current and future customers. Jamie is also an active speaker and volunteer in the community. She has been presented with national awards for her leadership and business efforts, and she has been a featured speaker at many nationwide events and workshops. Welcome, Jamie. Tony Santos is an executive chef and owner of Tony Caters, where I work as a sales executive. Tony is a rare 3rd-generation Silicon Valley native, born in San Jose, where he now leads a custom catering company focused on corporate and private special events. Tony graduated from Santa Clara University and pursued a first career in technology public relations before jumping ship in 2005 for culinary school and entrepreneurship. Tony Caters was founded in 2009 and is proud to produce events in the Greater Bay Area, often with partnerships, in partnerships with premier venues and event spaces. His dedication, diverse experience and background has uniquely prepared him and his team to help clients to achieve their goals and become stars in the eyes of their guests. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you. I just want to say quickly, thank you to Yulia for arranging this. This really, this series of webinars has really been her passion project. And I'm so glad we're doing this. And we're going to talk a lot about pivots today. But I think one of the things we can do is to be together as an industry and be having these conversations. So I really want to say thanks to Yulia for getting us together to do this.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Okay, so let me, so event industry is in a very difficult position right now with very little possibilities to even have live events. That's why I got everybody together to discuss the ways to collaborate and see how we can come up with new creative pivots to survive and grow the industry stronger. So I have prepared a few questions that I would love to hear our panel's opinion. So first question, how do you see the current state of events and what are the prospects for recovery? Natasha, what do you think?
I think she's muted, Yulia.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. This is really nice to be amongst these great professionals and friends, both on the panel and a lot of the people watching. So hello to everyone. So the state of the event industry, if I would have talked to you yesterday or the day before yesterday, I would have said pretty much for sure I didn't think any in-person events of any size would be happening until August of next year, kind of following big corporate decisions to keep people working from home and not having to go into the office. However, I don't know if you saw this, but BizBash is doing an in-person event in Las Vegas on October 18th for, I think, 600 people. And that was shocking. And I couldn't get my head around it. But I don't know if I'm going to go. I don't know if I'm going to put myself in that position, but they have the CDC there taking temperatures. They have Abbott Labs as a sponsor doing rapid testing, and Blue Cross Blue Shield is there. Masks are enforced. Plexi is between any meetings. So the state of the industry is in flux constantly and surprising.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I wonder that's a big production, a big event, and how comfortable people are attending it. That's
they also have a lot of people that have committed to go already, which I just, yeah, astounding. Good news / worrisome.
Yeah, that's correct. Liz, what do you think? How is the state of events right now? What are the prospects of recovering?
I mean, to the point of the entire seminar, I think that pivoting is required to stay afloat right now, and pivoting quickly and hopefully successfully. So our MO here has been to throw spaghetti against the wall daily and see what sticks. We have seen an uptick in rental inquiries for smaller parties. We hear that larger weddings are happening, but we are not participating in them. But yeah, I think that recovery will come, but I don't think that we are very close to getting back to where we were anytime soon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Burgess, what do you think from the event?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think the hardest part is knowing when it will come back. So, you know, every day I feel like something happens. Like we've had a couple of inquiries for just small meetings, more on the executive level of like 5 or 6 people. So I feel like that's a good sign. I feel like it's really hard to know when people will be able to meet again when we can't get a clear vision on a vaccine or, you know, how these things are going to happen. So I'd say that's the hardest part is there is a lot of prospect for recovery, but just not knowing when.
Yeah. Tony, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I know we were talking about this recently. Just think, even if events do start to percolate, because none of us have the crystal ball, if they do start to percolate and then traditional flu season comes around, just think about the shockwaves that are going to go through the industry with things that aren't even COVID, right? I think there's just no confidence for events right now, and everyone is feeling really skittish. So I just think we need to stay as flexible as we can. We're going to talk about the pivots. The thing that I'm most proud of at Tony Caters that we've done over the last at least 5 or 6 years is we've really been finding our lane. This is exactly who we are. This is what we're best at. We're comfortable saying no to these other things. And now we're doing the exact opposite. We're right. I was like, I've conditioned myself to find my lane and own it. And now I've conditioned myself to do anything but that. So, you know, again, the conversation will kind of keep going in that vein, but we all just have to be really flexible. If it's virtual only, is it hybrid, and how does that work? Flexibility, I think flexibility and optimism for recovery are what are going to kind of give us the legs to survive this.
Yeah.
And cash flow, I forgot about that.
Ryan, you work mainly with corporate clients. What do you see right now? What is the confidence? Is there a prospect for recovery? Yeah.
I think there's always prospect for recovery. I think we're all blessed to work in probably the epicenter of intellectual capabilities, probably, you know, in the world, at least certainly in the United States. If anyone's going to be able to find solutions, I think it's our clients and the folks that we work with on a daily basis. You know, certainly we're fortunate because our, you know, the vast majority of our offerings are, you know, gamification. So certainly we've been producing in-person events for the last 9+ years, but we were able, and I know we're going to talk about the magic P word here in a minute, but we were able to make that move and to go into the lab. We saw the writing on the wall pretty much in mid-March, I think, when everybody else did. And so what we were able to do is retool our efforts, and, you know, every month or so we've been able to come up with a couple of new products and new programs and experiences. And while certainly the revenue isn't where it would be, you know, it's about a third of what it would be normally, you know, for an event of 50 people. At least we've been able to stay relevant. We've been able to service our corporate clients, and there certainly is a demand for, you know, virtual events. I mean, I think more than ever in our particular industry, people miss their friends and their colleagues and their coworkers. And if we have, you know, had the good fortune of being able to at least offer an alternative, and I think certainly we've gotten a lot better at it over the last 3 or 4 months, you know, we feel very fortunate and blessed to be in a situation where we're able to help. And yeah, it's going to come back. I think we all know it's going to come back. I mean, we all work hard, and we've all been doing this for a long time. In terms of the methodology and in terms of how we're going to be able to do it, I think Tony touched on something which I want to reiterate, which is that, you know, this is a collaborative effort, a collaborative environment. And we need to be in a position where it's not, I'm going to get mine and, you know, good luck on getting yours. I think we all need to be able to find ways to assist. And when you reached out to me, you know, several weeks back and talked about doing what we have in the works in terms of doing some food-based virtual events, that's the kind of collaborative effort I think that we all need to continue to put together and to work with each other. And we'll get there. You know, I'm an eternal optimist, obviously. You know, the kind of business I am requires it, but we'll be okay. It's just going to be a while, and the cash flow will come, I'm sure, too, Tony.
That's great to hear. Something to look forward to for sure. Yeah. And Jamie, I know you've been participating in the ICA, International Caterers Association, a lot of their panel discussions. What do you hear is happening nationwide in terms of events?
Well, I think Liz said it best, like everybody is throwing spaghetti at the wall right now, seeing what sticks. Positive side is we have heard some things that, you know, are sticking or doing well for caterers or venues in certain markets, obviously all depending on guidelines. It's all the things we've heard of micro weddings and mini monies, lots of drive-through things and the virtual galas, but we are seeing and hearing some positive things there. But then of course there is the fear going into this next season. There's the flu coming around, and holiday season is what carries a lot of event businesses. And it's gonna be different though. This vaccine's thrown in the mix to be prepared for it. Who knows what it's gonna bring and if it's gonna bring any confidence for this holiday quarter. And I know that people and caterers and venues are just trying to prepare for anything right now, and trying to be optimistic, like Ryan said.
That's right. Yeah, thank you. What do you think a new normal will look like for conferences and trade shows? I don't like the term new normal because it's not normal. But what do you think it will look like and how long it will be like that? Is it forever? Natasha, what do you think?
I would say I really think the hybrid event is going to long live because a lot of our clients are doing actually much bigger events and much, wider scope events with the virtual ability. However, I did just see a question to BizBash about I see you're doing this in-person event, but you're not making it hybrid. Why? And so I think it'll just depend on a lot of things, what the client wants, what the client needs, but also the budget, because virtual as a hybrid it's going to add to the bottom line. But if it can expand well enough for there to be a margin that makes sense, I think it's here to stay. And I personally love programming virtual events and I love programming entertainment for them. But I know a lot of people don't feel that way. So I'm happy if it continues to be hybrid in the future.
Interesting. Yeah, Burgess, what do you think?
I think hybrid is definitely here to stay. A user conference that would typically have 1,200 people attend and, maybe possibly people watching pre-recorded sessions after, to being able to reach 10,000 people on a virtual level. I think that's one good thing that's come of this is that doing things virtually reaches more audiences. But I do think there's a need for people to get together and hopefully, they'll be thought of as two different ways to do business and to market. They still are two very different mediums. And I believe in events. I believe people want to be with people. And, I've had thoughts like maybe when this, people are safe to gather again, there will be an uptick and then it'll even out a bit because some people are finding they don't need to actually go to get the content that they're looking for. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, Liz, what do you see as a new normal?
I enjoy the accessibility that virtual events gives people who either don't have time or have kids or can't afford to go to different things. So I think it's nice that it's inclusive. We're finding that people are setting up permanent tents outside of their homes for board meetings and smaller conferences. Currently, we've had a lot of interest for that in the South Bay and Peninsula. So I think people are already figuring out how to make the hybrid model work. And I think, no one has a crystal ball, right? I would guess that we get back away from the hybrid model in maybe the next 5 years, but I think for the next couple, it's here to stay.
Great. Yeah. We will talk about the creative pivoting a little bit later, but do you think our traditional sources of revenue, are they still viable? Should we just stop what we've been doing? That's what Tony was saying, and then completely start doing different things? Or can we continue with the traditional sources? Ryan.
Again, we are sort of the outlier in this group just because of, the types of things that we offer. For us, it's been interesting because yes, we certainly haven't entertained anybody in person for almost 6 months, but we've been able to take our business national and global, which is something that we never would have been able to do to the extent that we have in the past. Just because, I can facilitate from my bedroom, for somebody in New York or Los Angeles, or, we had a couple events last week for Cisco in China. So, from our standpoint, we feel fairly fortunate that we've been able to, I don't know if it's a hybrid event, but we've at least been able to expand our reach, which we would never have been able to do otherwise. I think, I hesitate to make any predictions because I think a lot of this is based on science that I certainly don't have qualifications or a grasp of. I'm not a medical doctor, but I guess I can try and play one on Zoom, right? I think, as people get more comfortable with social distancing and what the protocols need to be in place for that, and as, hopefully as a vaccine rolls out, I would think at the beginning of next year, and it certainly feel like there are going to be 3 or 4 of them, within the, Q1 of next year. I think people are going to dip their toes back in very slowly and very carefully, but I would imagine by this time next year, things are starting to come back and people are starting to, I don't want to say take chances because that's sort of a pejorative, way of putting it. But I think people are going to feel much more comfortable as the science is better. And I think also, one of our big clients is Gilead Sciences, and with remdesivir, I think that has certainly upped the ante in terms of therapies. We don't talk enough about therapies when people actually are infected with, with this horrible disease. The survival rate's a lot higher now because we just simply know how to better deal with it. I hope that as that moves forward, in the next 6 months to a year, that continues to be the case. And I think if that's the case, then I think people will, have much more appetite to get back to normal. And we need each other, and people need to see each other in person. This is all well and good, but I mean, we are connectors, all of us, in what we do for a business. And we've been successful and thrived because there is always that need for human connection, and that's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. Tony, what do you think? Because we've been, as a catering company, definitely pivoting. So can we keep doing what we've been doing before, traditional sources, or we just kind of put it on the back burner and focus and try to pivot? Like, where do we put our resources into?
We had a really nice, just a 4-person in-home dinner last night. I told the client that I'm the pivot king of Silicon Valley because it's hilarious, all the things that we have going on. When we were kind of owning that special event lane that I was talking about, we always had a synergies kind of strategy. So if we had, a big event coming up that had long been in the works, and then we had a short lead corporate event, of course, we're trying to sell menus and just be as smart as we can to have some of those synergies. And so, now it's more about the synergies between the different pivots. Not necessarily, like I totally respond to throwing the spaghetti at the wall, but I mean, there are probably, twice or 3 times as many pivots as we could have done, but just trying to think about what we can do with our existing fleet of trucks, driver infrastructure, the space we have. One of the things I'll mention later, we're pivoting to open a pop-up barbecue restaurant and taking advantage of a lot of the labor and just the different infrastructure we have. So just synergies between the pivots. But in terms of the existing business, I kind of have an issue with everyone says, well, everybody needs to eat, right? I mean, food will be here forever. Everyone needs to eat. It's just not the case. I mean, the margin on $1,000 of special event party catering is very different than the margin on $1,000 of, and the hustle, to be really honest, to get $1,000 of, for example, Tony's To Go business, which is a weekly prepared food delivery service. Really different, really, really different. So food is not food. And again, just being realistic about the fact that it can always be there because, in a flash, if the events come back en masse, in a flash, we can ramp up because that's just in our DNA. We know how to do that. So that'll always be there, and we can do it as the opportunity presents itself, but also just to be mindful of what the opportunity is in the meantime.
Yeah, Natasha, what do you think? I know you're pivoting as well. Are you still doing any traditional, what you've been doing before? Or everything is a
one
pivot?
thing I want to say is that I was on the ACCP conference yesterday or the day before, and that's the private clubs all across America. And there's a lot open on the East Coast in the middle of the country. And there's a lot open in bigger numbers than I can imagine. We are living in a really tight bubble. So we're going to be the last to come back. Anyway, just thought I'd let you know that. So we pivoted immediately in March to doing virtual events and event production, as well as event entertainment. And we started a show, entire variety show. It's been incredible for marketing, for keeping top of mind, for keeping people entertained, for keeping people and artists busy. It's been a great marketing funnel for us, for business. We also pivoted to a marketing promotional division, which has been amazing. So yes, we can make like cutting boards with your logo on it and masks and all that stuff. But one of our clients saw that we were able to, I did 11,000 masks and gaiters for them. Their procurement department now has our information, and they don't see us as an event and entertainment production company. So they just ordered 300,000 those blue nitrile gloves from us. And now they're ordering in huge bulk sanitizing units and sanitizer. So, I mean, event planning, event entertainment to PPE, that is a pivot. And I would have never guessed. But I'm loving it. I'm loving it all.
Yeah, we've been always here to help our clients to do what they would envision and want to happen. So here we are helping them with whatever they need, and that's a great pivot. So talking about creative pivots, can you share your most creative and viable pivots that and alternative revenue streams? Liz, can you share that?
In partnering with, or in merging Table and Teaspoon with Abbey Party Rents and One True Love Vintage, the primary rationale for doing that was that Mike wanted to pivot. Mike is the owner of Abbey, wanted to pivot to e-commerce, and to Natasha's point about the fact that the East Coast and the Midwest are both much more open than the West Coast. I'm getting orders for my Table and Teaspoon settings every day, and in quantities of 24. So people, which we won't ship in California, but we will where it's less restrictive. So e-commerce was always my thing, but now that's what all of Fulcrum Group is headed toward. So that's actually really fun to see that something that I thought of before this is actually more useful now for the industry. So that's been exciting. And then I think probably our most surprising pivot so far is adding an event venue management arm. And we just hired a very exciting candidate who we can't reveal quite yet, but to head that for us. So we have 5 venues so far. We'll probably double that by Q1. So yeah, I mean, a lot of changes, but a lot of really exciting changes, and trying to stay optimistic about them.
Right. Yeah. And I've seen you're doing micro events with the rentals. You're offering.
Yeah, we're doing micro packages where you can pick sort of 3 different tiers of pricing and have a socially distanced responsible party in your backyard or parking lot. And everything comes with masks for each of your guests and hand sanitizers. So yeah, lots of micro parties going out, which is exciting that we can facilitate that in a safer way than in your home.
That's great. Yeah. Ryan, I know you've pivoted completely to virtual. What are the cool things that you guys are doing right now?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to mention that, as you know, Yulia, I live on the East Coast.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So I have been my company's based in San Jose, and all my staff and Jay and Kelly, my partners, are in San Jose, but I've been in Delaware for the last 7 years. So I have recently come back to Arizona, so I'm actually in Tucson today as I'm talking to you. I can vouch for the fact that things are definitely different on the East Coast, with the exception of New York City, which is still fairly shut down. They've phased in a little bit more, I guess, than San Francisco has, but you know, Washington, D.C. is thriving right now. I was just there. Philadelphia is also has really come back. So, you know, I am living proof that is the case. It's not just anecdotal evidence. I can tell you for a fact that is what's going on. As far as our stuff, you know, we've tried to invent 2 programs a month, and I'm blessed to be working with a couple really creative guys on my end who also can code and build things from scratch. So everything that we've done, you know, we now have 9 proprietary virtual team building programs, and we've priced them super cheap. So it's basically, you know, $500 for 10 people and then $15 per person thereafter. And we never would have imagined in a million years. I could see everybody kind of smiling and nodding. It's like, oh my goodness, but you know, we got to keep people employed and we got to pay bills. So that's what we've done. We're trying to do some holiday themed things. Certainly there's a demand in you know, around the holiday time for some diversity training, team building, as well as, you know, some charity team building. So we've got a couple things in the works, and we just rolled out a couple Halloween programs. So we actually do a hybrid of a scavenger hunt, hunting monsters, which you call Monster Mashup, which is super fun. You know, it's basically trying to drive a stake through Dracula's heart at the end of the scavenger hunt. So again, we get to have fun, which is cool, and we get to try and bring it virtually to people. So yeah, I mean, we have now 9 virtual programs, which I think we can, you know, do a lot of entertaining. And it's interesting, our programs are an hour long, whereas typically it would be about an hour and a half. And so what we found on our end is people are trying to fill a couple hours of time. So what we've been doing is a lot of programs back to back, you know, maybe a game show, you know, in conjunction with a scavenger hunt. And, you know, I had 7 leads today. So clearly the demand has ramped up, you know, in the last couple of weeks. I think people are moving into that, you know, into that Q4 phase where they're like, oh my God, we always have a holiday party. What are we going to do? You know, we don't have the opportunity to get everybody together. So we'll help cherry pick a lot of that business and really, be able to bring people together, do it probably for, a quarter to a third of what the normal budget would be. And I think Natasha probably is going to be doing some of the same thing. We're going to do whatever we can to service these people we've been doing for the last, doing holiday parties for the last 10 years and hopefully stay relevant, right? And so when things do come back, they're going to remember that we were all there taking care of them in the tough times. And I truly believe that's going to serve us all well as we move forward into the new world.
Yeah, that's right. And I think at the beginning, people were surprised by the whole online and virtual environment. Then kind of the fatigue came in where people were getting tired of that. But now, once they've realized that might be for quite a long run,
Yes.
we need to figure out something for our employees in the virtual environment. So that's now the demand is going up again. That's great to know. Natasha, what are you guys doing in the virtual? And I know that you have a lot of cool pivots, like you've mentioned just now, but on top of that, with the entertainment part, what are you doing?
We are having a blast presenting artists, and not just presenting them, but working with them to make sure they have the right mic, the right camera, the right lighting, the right area where they're at, or also putting them into a studio where, everything's socially distanced, they can wear masks, we can shoot it, they're either live or we can pre-record. Let's see, here's a really cool thing. So a headlining band that is usually about $350,000. I can't say who it is, plus, meaning their writers and everything. I just booked them for $25,000 for a President's Club virtual event. So talent is very accessible right now. It's at just a slice of what it used to be as far as costs. But we're seeing a lot of the artists and talent come up with some really great offerings, and it's been so much fun. And I would love for people to just check out the entire variety show. You can see it on YouTube or you can see it live. It's just been, thank goodness for it for me, because I love producing it. My clients love seeing it. I see Charbal Atala from Gecko is on. He just wrote the most amazing testimonial that I swear I didn't pay him for, but about the show. So, in March, April, my multi-million-dollar company went to zero, and I had never felt more elated and creative once the panic subsided.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And that's exciting. It's great to know you are doing so many different things. Talking about holiday season, Tony, I know we are rolling some cool things. Can you share what we've been doing as a caterer? We've a lot of things that we have never done before.
That's for sure. That is for sure. Yeah, so all of ours is obviously very food focused. So I would just really challenge everyone, and we can talk after and maybe in the chat. I would really challenge everyone to think a little outside of the box. Hopefully everyone had been growing in that same way by owning their lane, and now we all need to get flexible and think outside of our lane. So I would challenge you to think that way, and I'm really glad to be a resource to help kind of brainstorm. Yeah, our really biggest opportunity, I think right now, to Jamie's point, we really make up for kind of a predictably turbulent year every year in the fourth quarter. That's just the way that our business works. We're corporate special event primarily. And so we won't have that traditional opportunity in the fourth quarter. So what we're really banking on is a program called Tony's Holiday Pantry. And the idea is that money's been budgeted by the companies that we work with and other companies that we don't yet know. And they're looking to acknowledge their employees in the fourth quarter, like they always do, and then particularly this wild year. And so hopefully they will we're just rolling this program out. Hopefully they'll be ordering meals for them. So instead of gathering all together and paying those hundreds of dollars to entertain employees and partners, that instead they'll order from the Tony's Holiday Pantry program. And basically they can bring in their a very nice customized kind of curated holiday meal, Thanksgiving meal. So they can certainly gift that to them. They can promote it within their companies if they're not gifting them that way. We can partner with them if they want to customize or add on letters from the CEO, branded swag that might go with it, whatever that is. So Tony's Holiday Pantry is the main kind of fourth quarter pivot for employee appreciation. And then since the very beginning of all of this, we've been offering Tony's To Go, which is, like I mentioned, it's a weekly prepared food delivery or pickup option from our main kitchen. And so that program, and then there's been a little bit of synergy off of that with some of our, we're doing some work with the county, some of our corporate clients that need individually packaged meals. So there's been a synergy there. But something else that we did in the beginning, I mean, we didn't pivot. You know, there were some restaurants that were doing like grocery stores in the parking lot. We certainly didn't do that, but we had kind of a pantry staple component to Tony's To Go. And I just kind of looked at it as a cash advance. All of the pistachios and cherries and yeast and flour and all that stuff that we certainly weren't going to be incorporating into our event production went right out the door, packaged up for people that couldn't get, you know, just couldn't get some of those things in the grocery store or just wanted that extra tack on. I don't know what he does, but we have a client that every single week orders 1 or 2 pounds of dried cherries. I don't know why. We keep joking that he's selling scones at the farmer's market. I don't really care, but he orders 2 pounds of cherries every week, and that's fine. Just being creative, and we had certainly paid for it, but I have been calling it kind of a cash advance on those grocery staples. We're also, next week, starting on Wednesday, we are launching Tony's Patio Barbecue. So we actually have a really beautiful patio space adjacent to our kitchen. We started 11 years ago as a cafe and then had decided to close about 5 years ago. So we're reopening that with a patio barbecue concept. We have I'm our executive chef. We have a new head chef who has a lot of traditional barbecue experience. It's pretty far outside of my comfort zone, but he couldn't be more excited. He tried to kill me with barbecue this weekend. We went to every barbecue restaurant in the South Bay. So we're going for it. It's outside of my comfort zone, but like there's a synergy with the labor and some of the infrastructure here. We also launched a GoFundMe. So we have, I mean, it's very strange for a for-profit company to be running a GoFundMe campaign, but I think we generated about $7,000 or $8,000 in GoFundMe donations. And so for every $10 that's raised, and we're being really transparent about it, for every $10 that's raised, we're giving food to an emergency worker. So we're delivering food to hospitals and now the fire stations, we're going to be doing some deliveries too. So just, you know, keeping us employed, keeping everyone sort of on one hand motivated and with hours. On the other hand, from my perspective, I can't afford to lose a lot of our core guys. When things get ramped, you know, we operate the cafe at the Tech Interactive, formerly the Tech Museum. I can't afford to lose those guys because once things do turn around, and same in our kitchen, we need to hit the ground running with the guys that know our routine. So kind of keeping those guys active for when we get busier again. So those are some of the main things going on.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and then we are also doing virtual cooking kits.
Oh, I'm so sorry. How could I forget? Yeah. So we developed 4 or 5 virtual cooking kit experiences. So we deliver those to people's homes. We're not shipping, we're delivering ourselves within kind of the greater Bay Area. And then it's on them to basically schedule their Zoom call and run it. We have it set up as either a competition, so there's kind of a scoring component. We give them a suggested run of show. They can do it as a competition or just kind of an enrichment activity. So they arrange their meeting, you know, whenever and however they want. They press play on a video from me showing them how, giving them some inspiration and showing them how to dice an onion and infuse an oil, whatever it is for whichever kit. So they press play on that video and then they have their experience and then there's an upcharge if they.
I could see you being really good at that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I always say never a dull moment around here.
Tasha's going to snatch you up as an entertainer. You better watch out.
Yeah, exactly.
Your pivot.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no shortage of things. But that's really fun, and they can pay extra if they want me live for the experience.
Yeah, Burgess, I know you guys are also pivoted to virtual right now.
Yeah, so
you're doing a lot of things.
Yeah, well, what we did really was we had to take a really good look at what we were good at, and if that wasn't going to be doing something live, then it was going to be doing something virtually. Right. So we are doing, in a sense, what we've always done, which is project manage and pull vendors together to create an amazing experience. We're just now doing it virtually. So our skills that way, we've just transferred them over, and we've had to really immerse ourselves in different technologies and different things that are available. And we've invested in some things that help facilitate something in a virtual sense, if it's beyond Zoom, if it's needing some particular special something for whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. So we had to take a look at all the different types of events that we do, but then think about them as a different experience and how can we best deliver that virtually, really just going back to our roots. And we have the creativity has really come in with Zoom fatigue. Because in the beginning, it was helping clients just build their virtual event on the runway, just taking it there. We have no time, let's do this. And hand-holding our way, through that process and learning so much so quickly to, okay, this is here to stay. And now everyone's online, they're on their computer screens all the time. What is it that we can do that's adding that flair of still getting the messaging across, still delivering on what the ultimate goal is, but actually just getting people to tune in and to stay there. So we've done some pretty interesting educational things. We really think it's important to continue to do the give back. I think people still, they're sitting at home and they're thinking maybe their bank account isn't as secure as it used to be, but they want their corporations to still be giving back and showing, like their companies are showing. We did something really cool, like with the Monterey Bay Aquarium, in like kind of an education, but also like a give back that we felt really good about. We've done something like at the MoMA, broadcasting from the MoMA, videoing at the MoMA in a very socially distanced, COVID friendly way. And then some pretty just kind of scrappy stuff like trivia or just stuff that may just get people engaged in any way that fits their demographic.
Great,
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
what we do.
Yeah, thank you. One of the goals for our discussion today was how can we collaborate together? So putting like, how have your relationships with your vendor partners have changed and how are you collaborating with them right now? Natasha.
So all of our vendors are either getting together a virtual offering, and we have actually many chefs that are cooking for us. They're sending out kits and then cooking live, teaching. One for 150, that'll be interesting. But another thing is I'm partnering with another event planning agency for in the future when live events come back, they'll be our production arm. So I think, as business dwindles, I think combining, putting your heads together and combining, you don't necessarily have to merge, but maybe a strategic partnership with like companies or just adjacent to our industry is really smart. And to have them on the back burner or have them active right now.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Liz, how are you guys collaborating with other partners?
The most exciting collaboration has been on our micro party packages that you mentioned earlier. We decided to make it feel sort of like a DoorDash app. When you go on our site, you can pick your party package based on your need or your price point or the aesthetic that you like. And then on all of them, you can add catering. We partnered with Culinary Eye Catering on that. We partnered with Hoops Vineyard to send wine. We partnered with Elian Raful to do event photography. We partnered with DJ King Most to do either virtual or in-person DJing, Soulflower Florist. So, I mean, I think we have like 15 different add-ons at this point to try to support our favorite vendors and just give people more options to create sort of their vision for their events, but on a micro scale.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Tony, what do you think about collaborating? Where are the areas for us to work together?
Sometimes I think it's just a shoulder to cry on. Danny, who couldn't join us, and I have definitely commiserated on the idea that I don't know if I've driven a truck since this has all started, but he's driving the truck and answering the phone, and we're just doing, I think it actually is a little bit of a reminder that maybe we haven't been all been operating as lean as we could have, because now as we take a step back, we're doing a lot of that ourselves. So really, commiserating with him and our preferred florist and I kind of tag each other on social media, kind of thinking wistfully about the great events we've done together. So just kind of being a resource, and I think even opportunities like this are a great chance for us to just put that hat on, that entrepreneurial pivot hat on.
I'm glad to hear there's conversations going on besides just therapy for one another.
Yeah.
There's been that too.
Yeah.
That's where the creative ideas come from, is not feeling alone and
Exactly.
knowing we still have that entrepreneurial spirit that will keep us alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. I would like to invite Jamie from New4 to share some marketing tools to help us to communicate all our creative pivots to our clients and to make sure we are staying visible to our clients.
Yes, that is correct. So, hats off to all of you for all the pivots you are all going through, trying new things all the time. And what happens when we're doing that is we kind of forget about the marketing aspect, or where are we putting this stuff? We built out probably these beautiful websites that we have, and they were not created to house all these new ideas, right? They were created for traditional lines of business. And so Liz, I think it's cool you have a whole website. You clearly pivoted and put that online fast. Many people aren't able to do that as fast. So I hopefully will share just a few ideas, some things we've seen from clients, and maybe you all will find helpful for your pivots. And it can kind of be a checklist of when you are pivoting, hey, here are some things that we can do. So let me just pull this up. Let me share my screen. Get to the master. Nope, not that, sorry. All right, many of you are probably familiar with or seeing them all the time, hello bars and pop-ups on websites, but I think they are great. One, we want to let people know we're open right now. We may want to guide them to our latest servicer offerings. Our homepages on our websites are beautiful, but again, they probably weren't geared towards whatever it is that we're offering now. So instead of having to reinvent the wheel and redesign a homepage, you can use hello bars to guide people to exactly where you want to go. Venue-wise, or even other offerings that you have, pop-ups, you can put them on the website. So again, drawing attention to where you want people to go on your website right now, because it's different than the way you originally designed it. HelloBar.com has free and paid versions available. Very simple to use and install. So highly recommend it. Another thing is, so when we create those hello bars, we might want a landing page on our website, building out new pages for what we are offering. So this is from a caterer in Seattle that we work with. They have all different things that they're offering. And so it's a page of, here's their virtual events, here's what's even on their menu and what they're serving right now. So page to showcase that, and menus. And again, you'll notice they had a hello bar because this is the most important thing that they want to direct people to on their website. Another big thing that we are doing and hearing good feedback on is safety pages within our website. So whether we're a caterer or a venue, event planner, any sort of business right now, you're obviously doing different things to keep your guests safe and your people safe. And so having a safety page within your website built out, it's also a great place to put, this caterer put some video testimonials right now from events that they have executed during these times to talk about, have a client talk about how they kept events safe. We've heard feedback. I sat on a panel with one of our catering clients and talking to all their corporate planners that they normally do catering for. And those planners had commented on this page. They were happy to see it because it made them feel confidence that when they were able to plan events again, that they knew Tasty Catering based in Chicago was on top of it, and that they were going to be able to hand the event. It was also subtle touches of that they could pass on if they knew they had small things trying to say like, this caterer is doing things safe. We can use them right now for events of 10. So it's a good way to stay in touch and continue to instill that credibility. Blogs and content, still a good thing to do right now. More than anything, again, showcasing or sharing what you are doing now with photos or sharing the creative ideas that you have. I know a lot of our ideas are generated between collaborations with clients. Sometimes we can talk about it. Sometimes we can't necessarily say the client name, but in whatever fashion we can talk about it and get those ideas out there. Again, this caterer did something with a drive-through picnic. People picked up to-go things, and there's a few more events they have booked like this for other companies. They don't look exactly the same, but again, it was instilling confidence and showing that there are options out there to do things and get people food safely. Obviously, different things that may be happening, talking about safety, new offerings that you may have, and then just as simple as recent or old events. You can do older events too, right? We have time. Sometimes from these events, it takes a while to get our photos. It's okay to talk about past events. They're in the past. We will return someday. People will gather again. We all know that, and we're all optimistic about that. But it's a great way to do something now. And in supporting vendors and different people that you work with, you can always tag them on there and let them know you're posting these events which feature their services. And then also it's a way for you to get in front of their audiences. So we have a little time to maybe do that right now. Emails, I think, are a great way to stay in touch, whether it is sharing safety updates, whether it is sharing specifically a service offering. Biggest issue I see right now with emails is that people are trying to fit too many things into one because we're trying so many different things. So my biggest takeaways here is just one simple call to action. What do you want me to do from this email? Not have me look at 30 different things. Social media, I think it's a great way. People are on it more than ever. I'm sure you guys are all noticing that right now, but pick photos, add captions, be consistent in what you're doing. And there's so many opportunities from partnerships. Share your vendor content. The Cater to Fair in Boston has done a great thing with obviously doing some partnerships with micro weddings at the Boston Public Library. It's great, once in a lifetime opportunity right now for super cost effective. They have a ton of partners lined up, kind of like Liz mentioned. So great way to share that on social and lift up our vendor partners. And then just also, what are our other vendor partners talking about that our audience might find relevant, and how can we share that content? So looking at it. Big thing, can't say enough, is requesting reviews from vendors. And this can be as far as going back to people that have never reviewed us for past events. I know I've had, I got married last year and I didn't review some vendors, and that was a big shame on me. I felt awful, but they reached out and they said, hey, during this time, would you be able to do it? It would mean a lot, you know, for people to hear about your events. And it was very tastefully done, and I was more than happy to, and shameful I hadn't done it. But we have a lot of clients asking to write about clearly the process of what it's been like either holding an event or even rescheduling an event during COVID. And I think that's very smart to ask for when you have clients that you are working with as a partnership. Other cool thing is ask vendor partners to review you too, right? You guys have all worked with each other. You've experienced work firsthand. So this is a venue that we work with, and one of their vendors posted a review about them. Those reviews, whether they're about rescheduling or COVID right now, they all add to your marketing portfolio and really help with search in the future. So no matter what the review is, it's going to help in the long run. And then I always think this is kind of fun, whether we have new service offerings maybe we're putting together, if we're not just launching something real quick and we have a little time, build some hype, build some excitement. I love countdowns. People love seeing it. You can build them within your website or social media, but used to be used maybe a little bit more for a sense of urgency. I don't know if people really feel a sense of urgency to book right now, but I think if we, as the event planners and the caterers of the world, are excited about things or new things that we're launching and take a little time to put thought into it, we're going to instill that in our clients as well. So that is my very, very quick run through of some marketing ideas that hopefully will add value to your
Yeah,
work.
that's great. Thank you so much. These were amazing ideas. And Jamie and her team are always happy to help you if you need help with that. But yeah, these are great ideas overall. I know we're running out of time, but we have a few questions. I have Mandy, my co-host, that can help me read out the questions, and then we can answer them. If our attendees, if you have to run, there will be a recording, but if you can stay for a few more minutes, please do. Mandy, do you have, can you help with the question?
Yes, so there's a question here regarding the exodus of talent from the event and hospitality industries to more secure jobs such as healthcare or insurance. Do you have any advice to event professionals or to young professionals who are considering getting into the industry?
Yeah, Natasha, do you want to give some advice on that?
Yes, I think even with before COVID, my advice would be to attend things like ILEA and MPI as a student or intern member, get a mentor, get advisors, really. I mean, there are some people that want to be in the event industry so badly that they're willing to do anything, even wait out COVID. And those are the people that we want in the industry, right? So right now is a really good time to educate yourself. So like for my team, I'm like, listen, we get all these magazines, there's all these blogs, read them. I'm not going to beg you, but if you want to get better at what you are doing and who you are, there's a lot of information out there.
Thank you. Yeah, Burgess, do you have any advice?
So the question was if you want to get into events and if you should right now, or like if you're leaving, because I think, you know, I think there are characteristics that event people have that can definitely translate. I mean, so much of it depends on if you can pay your rent. Like you know, if you're looking for a job in the events industry right now, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you are looking to, if you want to be in events and you know you want to do it on the corporate side of things, I would recommend researching the company that you're going to work for and see if they produce events, and slide yourself in as a marketing professional, and then, you know, step it up when it's time for things to turn around, and they're wanting events. But yeah, I mean, I would agree with Natasha on definitely like just keeping current and reading up on things and keeping a pulse on that. But I think if you absolutely need a job right now, I don't think events is probably the way to go.
Yeah. Anybody else? Liz, do you have something to say in that?
Yeah, I mean, we just hired somebody, so that's kind of a very cool position to be.
Great, I want to be wrong.
This person's really passionate though, and I think that is what made us feel confident in hiring them. And so I think if you're passionate and can afford to stay in the industry, then put yourself out there to everyone possible, because we didn't do a job posting. We just identified this person and went after them. And so I think put yourself out there, put your passion out there if you can. If you can't, then go pay your rent. But I think that there are opportunities as people pivot because they have needs that they can't fulfill in-house. So yeah, it's there.
Great.
Yeah, well, like Natasha, we were talking the other day, and you know, the promotional product, like if you can go in somewhere and go in and say, hey, I can expand your business in this way, that's, if you can specialize in a pivot, that would be.
Yeah, I mean, that one employee that's running that division would have been laid off. I gave her the option. I was like, you know, here's this position, otherwise you're getting laid off. Like, I'm so sorry, but, and I'm paying her differently. I'm paying her on a commission plus, you know, a salary, but it is different. And she's still there and she's really good at it.
Anybody else with the advice, or should we move to the next question? Okay. Yeah, Mandy.
The other question I think you already touched on a little bit earlier in the discussion, but do you think that even with a vaccine, we will see that more corporate clients are preferring to keep their events and trade shows virtual or hybrid rather than going back to a full in person?
I'll just let you answer if you have something.
I think that, yes, I mean, I think some events, if what they're trying to accomplish, they were able to accomplish virtually, they may stay that way. I think a lot of trainings that may have been in person, like software trainings, things like that. But I think it really depends on the ultimate goal of the event. I mean, if it's networking and getting to know people, or to have like, I think it's really hard in the exhibit space. Yeah, I do think they will definitely come back, but not for all. Maybe, you know, we're learning a lot, we're accomplishing a lot virtually, and it's a renaissance, so to speak. So for that side of things, so I think it's definitely here to stay, the virtual, but I think people also need to meet, and it's just going to shift events in general.
I think there's going to be an increased focus on, you know, return on investment for these. And I think certainly our corporate clients are talking a lot about that. You know, there's going to be a lot of examination and a lot of data running through the system to see how much, you know, much more or less effective virtual events and virtual conferences are versus actually having people in person. And obviously it's a tough thing to navigate through. And I don't know that there's any one great answer in terms of how one evaluates return on investment for a conference of that nature. I think there's a lot of secret sauce in there, but you know, these are smart people that we work with and smart companies. And you know, Google and Apple and Facebook aren't investing money if there's not some sort of return on that investment. So I think over the next 6 to 12 months, there's going to be a lot of evaluation in terms of what kind of return are these folks getting out of doing things virtually as opposed to getting them, you know, back in person. And as the risk decreases and the, you know, as they start evaluating the bottom line, if it's not working and if they're not making money and if they're not seeing that return, you can be pretty sure that we're going to see a flood back to in-person events as quickly as is humanly possible.
I think that's interesting because from like our point, like you were saying about data. So the data that we're able to collect virtually is phenomenal.
Amazing.
We know who clicks in and out, like it's really awesome. And it's very easy to track your return on investment and how much money was spent. I mean, it's a lot simpler for especially our more corporate clients. So I think that brings up a really good point.
Balancing that against the human touch though, and how much more people are getting out of doing things in person. And Zoom fatigue is real. We all feel it every day. We all hear it from our clients every day. So, you know, where is that baseline in terms of what people are getting out of things? And yes, maybe it's easier to evaluate data and maybe it's easier to evaluate the efficacy, you know, in terms of how long people are staying and how much more engaged they are. I don't know. Is there the argument to be made on the other side that if people are getting a lot more, especially in terms of networking and being in person and being in the same room and having a meal with somebody, going out for drinks afterwards, as opposed to, you know, doing things as we're doing them now virtually. So it'll be an interesting next 6 to 12 months, I think, to evaluate, you know, the two.
Yeah, that's right. Mandy, do you have any more questions for us before we conclude the webinar?
Nope, those were the 2 questions that we had in the Q&A box.
Okay, great. If you have something to add before we finish, please do. Any closing advice to stay strong and become creative? Yeah. Anybody has something?
Sounds like we all left it on the table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just put out my call again for everyone to stay creative. And, you know, we're all entrepreneurs, and I think most people probably clicking in are very entrepreneurial by nature in this industry. So, you know, I think Natasha said, like, let the fear subside. You know, it happened, it is, here we are, right? What choice do we have? Here we are. So stay creative and stay engaged, and let's keep this conversation going, and we'll get through this.
Yeah, enjoy the little things, like not having to get dressed every day. Wearing your yoga pants all day. I love that. Well, thanks everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much to our panel and to our attendees for taking time today. There have been a lot of great points, and I hope people have learned and will be able to implement these little things. Yeah, it has been a powerful discussion. Thank you again for your time. It's been a pleasure, and stay strong, and we'll get through this together.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
See you all.
for inviting me.
Bye.
Take care.
Have a good day.